It's our free system, man. All right, welcome to, I guess what we're calling this broadcast journalism Q&A, but it's more than just that because these guys do a lot more than that. I got Wrigley, Kordt, Josh Pose, and Willie Gillespie here. Two from Carmel, one an adopted son of Carmel. So maybe let's go through what you guys do, where you're at, and maybe that'll spark some questions in the audience here.
Oh, me first?
Yeah,
okay.
you go first.
I'm Wrigley. I'm a junior at University of Miami. I'm triple majoring in broadcast journalism, political science, and screenwriting. I EP one of our shows. I anchor one of our shows. I don't sleep. That's about it.
What do you anchor? What show do you anchor?
So I anchor our sports broadcast. So that's Sports Centered. It's a 30-minute live sports broadcast, sort of like Sports Center.
It's is it just Miami specific?
Yeah, so we cover, football team, basketball team, all that.
Sure. Josh, what about you?
I'm Josh Pose. I'm a junior at Indiana University. I cover a wide variety of sports at Indiana, from football to basketball to soccer, volleyball, baseball, softball, you name it, I'm probably there. I write, I'm on screen. Like Wrigley, we do a 30-minute broadcast. It's once a week. On there every once in a while. I'm also hoping to get a panel show sometime soon.
Nice.
Kind of like around the horn type thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Just a debate show and stuff like that.
Would you be the stat guy or whatever?
I wish. I'd actually going to be the host.
Would you be Tony Reale or?
Yeah, I want to be, like the Michael Wilbon of that show. That's for sure.
Gotcha. So you also just interviewed the running back from Indiana, right?
I did.
Recently, right?
Yeah, that was for an NIL collective. So by their contract with the university, because that's a new thing now, they have to do these certain criteria. They have to do these on-camera things. So I was lucky enough to be selected, made some relationships. So I was able to talk to him. Really dark room, lights on, very intense. I wanted to do it like a Caleb Presley style, but they didn't allow me. So we just talked and learned more about not the football player, but the human being. So that went in a lot of work of researching who he was, how he was recruited to not only Indiana, but his previous stop at Wake Forest.
How much time do you think it took to research that?
That was
on your end.
On my end, probably 2 hours.
Wow.
Just going through everything and reading stories. Since I covered team.
High school
all
that stuff.
All that stuff, to the point where I listened to a podcast that a former Indiana basketball player helped him choose Indiana.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to go deeper into their relationship, so went deep into that, and then we talked about that, and it was awesome.
Willie, what's up with you?
I'm Willie Gillespie. I'm a meteorology major, University of Oklahoma. On-air, broadcast, weather.
It's all you guys.
I'm not doing 20 billion things like these guys.
But you did have an internship this past semester, which is kind of interesting. Maybe tell them about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was working down in Lawton, Oklahoma, which is about an hour southwest of campus. It's a smaller market, but got some on-air experience there. I was the weekend on-air meteorologist there, and that was pretty cool opportunity.
Explain how that what your weekend looked like then.
It was pretty brutal.
I want you to explain it to them.
Yeah,
I think it's the most brutal thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, so they actually, their chief meteorologist was let go right around the time that I started working there. So they were down to just 2 full meteorologists and me. So I would just do the entire weekends. And there's obviously you got a 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. and then you got the 5:30 and the 10 o'clock p.m. So I'm working 4 shifts essentially. Which is not a lot of sleep.
Which is 18 hours, right?
24 hours weekend, yeah. Pretty brutal.
And you drive down there Friday.
Yeah.
Stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
And then that's just incredible. I don't know.
It's something.
It's something, yeah. It's something else.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe we could talk about what the SNL thing. How did you get into the executive producing that?
Yeah, so Off the Wire is our like 30-minute sketch comedy show. It's a lot like SNL. We steal a lot of things from SNL, actually. So what happened was I was actually the head writer of the show first semester of my sophomore year, and so each UMTV show, UMTV is University of Miami Television, is supposed to have like 2 executive producers at any time, and the succession plan was to have. So we had one EP who was a senior, one EP who was a junior. The junior was supposed to like step up the following year after the senior graduated, and we were supposed to have this one guy, Gavin, step into the next EP role. Gavin disappeared for a semester.
Sure.
And then
like by law? Like
no. He just got really busy with work.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he's actually like a marine science major, so I don't even know why he's trying to EP a show. But and then the junior who was supposed to step up after that first semester got an internship. He couldn't EP the show even starting that next semester. Yeah. So they like run over to me in like December and they're like, Wrigley, we need you to EP the show. And I had no plans of EPing the show. I wanted to host it and then maybe step up as an EP my senior year.
Sure.
But I wasn't gonna say no.
Yeah, right.
So and then I EP'd it with this guy Ethan. He was a senior at the time for one semester, and then we just didn't appoint another EP.
Cool.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Put a lot of work on me.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. We're getting another EP.
Nice.
Next semester, so
yeah.
I'll be able to sleep maybe. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, what do internships look like for you then? For like next year or summertime?
So I'm applying to sort of a weird range of internships. I've applied to a lot of like the like Fox Sports, NBC Sports, because most of my broadcast work is in sports. But then in terms of my screenwriting major, I've applied to The Tonight Show, The Daily Show.
Really?
Yeah, all the late night shows.
Sure.
NBC Page program, all that kind of stuff.
Oh wow, that's neat. I think they just like sent off a page last night on Jimmy Fallon.
Oh really?
Yeah. The guy that like opens up the doors. I don't know if you watch that show. But
not always. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I gotta find other things to steal.
It's that sweater thing that they do. I don't know. Whatever. Josh, you were covering the men's soccer team. They got pretty far.
Yeah, they made it to the Sweet 16. Obviously, not as far as they hope, being that they've won 8 national titles and they go to the Final Four every single year. But it's a program of excellence, and when they lose, all of a sudden the world crumbles around you.
Sure.
So you have to find a way to report objectively about how they haven't lost 2 games in 5 years now, 2 matches in a row in 5 years. So they haven't done it since. They still haven't done it. But when they lose 3-0, you have to find a way to frame it that they will be all right.
Sure.
And they've had their struggles, but it is absolutely a blast. People think that doing a soccer beat isn't the coolest thing in the world. They want to do football. Obviously, men's basketball is king in Bloomington.
Yeah.
But when you get to cover soccer, you know that you're in for a fun ride that could end up in the national championship game.
Yeah. And like for soccer though, having like winning that many championships, it's got to be, the expectation's got to be there, right? So I how do you cover that? Like, are you talking to the players? Are you talking to the coaches and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, we get post game availability, and then we get the coach maybe 24 hours before a match.
Okay.
So we try to get a story there. We always ask the sports information director for a player, maybe for a feature story. That's a TV thing for us.
Sure.
The thing is, with the coach, his father actually created the program 51 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it is quite literally a family business with Indiana soccer.
Yeah.
So he knows what needs to be done, and this is the longest they've gone without a national championship.
Right.
So there's some chaos going on right now, but when you're consistently top 10 in the country,
sure,
the expectations are there, the players know it, but at the same time, they're very, very loose with it. They know the expectations, but they know that they're capable because they were brought in for a reason.
Gotcha. Cool. Speaking of championships, Oklahoma girls softball. I can't imagine going to college for 4 years in a row and winning a national championship every year.
Yeah,
but
crazy.
They've done it. And then when I was down there, they unveiled a statue of the coach.
Yep.
And you've had an opportunity to do photography on that. So like, tell us how your sports photography career is.
Yes, yeah, we're kind of working on that side as well. I'm a photographer with the OU Daily, which is the kind of the independent newspaper on campus. So I had the opportunity to work several of those games, photographer for several of those games. A brand new stadium, biggest in the country.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of history there.
Sure.
There's a lot of great opportunities in student media. I think really, we're obviously talking about a lot of broadcast stuff here, but really anywhere you look, you'll be able to find so many opportunities to work in. And it's not just softball. Like Josh, we're shooting basketball and football and every sport.
Are you on the print side too, Josh?
I am for football and basketball.
Okay. So is there was it IU? What do they call that?
There's a recruiting site. No, it's not the student. Site. So I work for two outside networks. One that covers football and basketball, and one that covers basketball. So during basketball season, I write 2 articles a night.
2 articles a night?
2 articles a night, probably ranging anywhere from about 600 to 1,000 words.
Really?
Every night. It could be a 9 p.m. game.
About the game or about the players or what?
Depends. I take an angle on every game. Okay. So if this guy has 25 points, then we talk to him in the press room. Then we'll have our angle there.
Yeah.
But it gets rough. Like Wrigley says, no sleep. I don't get done for like an 8 p.m. game.
Sure.
We're not out until 2 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What about Willie on the OU Nightly show, like the TV show? Like what names? Like talk about some things that you've been doing on that.
Yeah. Another great opportunity there for broadcast, and that's a full-fledged newscast, 30 minutes long, streams. I think they've got it going statewide, actually, on one of the local Cox channels.
Yeah.
So covering news, sports, and weather.
Sure.
And you can really get involved, and then obviously behind the scenes as well. So maybe you don't want to be in front of the camera. There's opportunities to direct and produce, and all of that stuff.
Run lights.
Exactly. Run cameras, and everything under the sun that you can do,
sure.
You can do there. It's a great school, great place for broadcast, great program.
Nice. Any other things you want to add before we maybe hit some questions from the audience?
You got to buy your time. Freshman year, beginning of sophomore year.
Yeah,
I can speak for all of us.
Let's talk about that. Freshman year going in. Like the expectation is, you're going to start this, I'm going to write for the football team freshman year, right? Or I'm going to be on an Instagram show freshman year, which you did. And so how do you temper that, the idea that when you walk in, you're going to do something big, and then you end up doing badminton or something, you know what I'm saying? How do you feel about that? You know what I'm saying? Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I came in thankful to you that I came in with a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
But there are friends that I have that have made from northern Indianapolis who had full radio stations, full TV stations that
That's
went.
Carmel, I'm
yeah,
sure, right?
Yep.
That's the other Carmel.
Yeah, they are. They are out of this world with stuff. So they came in with more than me. There's a lot of people that came in with more, and there's a lot of kids in sports media that want to do the same thing.
Sure.
So just showing up was the hardest part, because you knew that you weren't going to get on screen. You barely were going to do anything behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But you had to show up, show face, make these relationships.
Yeah.
And I always say I'm lucky that I have friends that were higher, and someone took a chance on me, gave me soccer after my freshman year where I literally did nothing.
Yeah.
And that just skyrocketed me into what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Wrigley, how about you? What was your journey like?
So I actually started out as a pre-med kid my first semester. So little different journey than most typical broadcast majors. But like you were saying, there's a lot of people who come in with a lot more experience than you have, especially as someone who isn't planning on doing it.
Yeah.
And
because you didn't do CDN at all.
Right.
When you were here. Yeah.
Because
you were going to be a doctor.
I was going to be an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
Got through 3 weeks of doing those classes, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I took one college level calc class, and I was like, so how about that broadcast major? But I really lucked out because at Miami, it's a really great program, but they really do have a lot of opportunities for people coming in.
Sure.
And I think the big thing for me was, obviously I got in, I got to be on air right away, but I had to really climb the ranks to be an anchor. And I think if there's one takeaway I have from it, is that you have to learn from every single thing you do.
Sure.
Be there, obviously. Try to be like as involved as possible, but at the end of the day, like if you don't get the position you want, learn from where you are.
Yeah.
Because I learned a lot more doing sort of the lower level coverage stuff.
Yeah.
Like covering like soccer games and volleyball. I had to cover volleyball games, which was a concept.
Not a great program down there. Or?
They're better now.
Okay.
They're better now.
Okay.
I remember I had to cover like a cross country meet, and
Oh my god.
that was the worst because so first of all, I didn't like get to go to the meet because it was in Tallahassee.
Right. Okay.
So they were like, okay, they're going to give you like a press release. That's going to be like 600 words. Just turn that into something that's like 300 words and we'll put it out. The press release was 100 words.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to figure out what cross-country stats meant.
Right.
Which, and the problem is, so it was the ACC, like, invitational or open or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't invitational because it was every ACC team. And if it was invitational, Miami wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
Because I think we have the worst cross-country program in the ACC. Which makes sense because it's so hot out there. I don't envy them.
Yeah,
but
right.
like we had, I think, one of our like 20 runners finish in the top 50, and she finished like 49th.
Okay.
So I had to turn that into a story. But learning from stuff like that and sort of just learning how to be resourceful, how to stretch stories.
100 to 300.
Yeah. That's invaluable experience for when you're doing more higher level stuff, like covering. Like I did a lot of coverage for the football team this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got to go to some of the games. I got to go to the USF game in Tampa. That was
wow.
fun.
We have some friends there.
Bulls.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just doing stuff like that.
Cool.
Doing the lower level stuff really prepares you for some of the higher level.
Did you see Luke when you were there? You know Luke Zimmer?
Yeah, I know. I texted him, and so he's working with the team.
Yeah.
So he was too busy. I was in the stadium till 2 a.m. Still didn't see him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was a late game,
Yeah.
and then the press conferences, and then I had to finish writing, and then the guy I was with had to finish writing, and that took us
2
both
a.m.
till like 2 a.m. And then
Those are the best times, though, to be in an empty stadium.
yeah,
I will say.
I gotta say, because I was at Raymond James. I was at
Yeah.
the Buccaneers Stadium, which, by the way, good food.
Really?
Hard Rock has better food,
Yeah.
but Raymond James has better,
food.
like,
Yeah.
a better press box overall.
Nice.
Like, the seats are really comfy.
Really
good
nice.
stuff.
Nice.
But being in a empty NFL stadium at, like, 2 in the morning, that's really cool.
That's weird. That's weird.
It's really
It sounds cool, but
it's really fun until the hotel cancels on you. We were scrambling till like 4 a.m. trying to find a hotel room. We had to drive out
Sleep in the stadium.
8 a.m. the next day.
Really?
And yeah, I wasn't in bed till 4:30.
Oh my god.
That was a weekend.
Wow. Willie, how about your journey through OU Nightly or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a slow start, right? Like you're just walking in doors as a freshman, and you know, I mean, you can be experienced, but everybody's gonna, it's all even, right? Until you start to work your way up, it takes time. So, like you said, showing up every day,
Sure.
kind of, developing relationships, connections that may pan out in the future,
Yeah.
and I think that worked out well for me, and continues to do so. But yeah, it's still early. First semester, sophomore year.
Sure.
I guess these guys are a little older, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, get there.
All right. Questions. Maggie.
So you said your sophomore year, I think it was, you were like writing the show. Where did you get ideas for that? I feel like writing
So it's funny you mentioned that. So when I actually started becoming part of Off the Wire, I didn't think I could be funny in terms of like an actual like written on the page sense. Like my friend was encouraging me to like try out for the show, and I was like, I'm like situationally funny at best. But I think the key to that is that you don't try to force it. So I have like a note on my notes app note on my phone with like 200 little bulleted items, and it's just like random stuff I jot down when something in life gives me an idea for a sketch. Like one of my favorite sketches I ever wrote was hold on, I'm blanking right now. What's the one we just did? Oh, it was like a fake like Miami Vice type show called UMPD Vice.
Okay.
And so we actually just did this one for our last episode, and basic concept was, so we had these 2 dorm buildings that were torn down this past summer, and the whole concept of the sketch was that there was this big like villain who was he had this whole evil plot they couldn't figure out. His plot was to tear down the dorm buildings, to blow up the dorm buildings.
And they're gonna be blown down anyway.
Right, they already got blown down. That's the big reveal at the end. And I only came up with that because I came back to campus, and one of my friends turns to me, he's like, "Where did Stanford go?" And I'm like, "How have you not heard about this?" Like, they were hyping up these like new dorms they're building in place of those since we got there.
Interesting.
And like, I was on my tour there, and they were like, "Hey, there's these dorm buildings that are gonna be here in 3 years for freshmen," and I'm like, "This doesn't help me at all."
Right.
But just the idea of someone being on campus for that long and not having heard about that was really funny to me, and so I turned that into a whole thing.
That's interesting. That's funny. I like
Thank
that.
you.
Anybody else?
So just in general,
Yeah.
for you guys, do you guys think that having like a minor or something happen with like English or writing classes helps a lot with figuring out how to get those ideas for like scripts or stuff to put out?
I think it would. I mean, I don't have one, but I think it probably would. I mean, I'm sure you guys could talk. I don't really write that much, so I feel like it's more of a you guys thing. But
Yeah, I have a sport marketing and management minor to go with the sports media major. So a lot of that is because I get to see the other side of what happens. My writing gets worked on in my classes, and it's just repetition. If you keep writing stories, I've written, probably 150 articles this semester. I've been pushing them out. The more I write, the better I am. And then starting next year, I was telling them before, is that all of my classes next semester are going to be doing something with script writing, beat report writing, writing about games, any of that stuff. So I'm not saying it would be a waste of time. It'd be a really good idea to be an English major too, but you have to budget your time wisely because all three of us are swamped with just what we do in general. And writing papers for classes for a minor that you will be getting experience, you just have to balance it out.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think my broadcast major really emphasizes the writing side of it as well. Like, I had 2 classes that were just like regular, like writing for like journalism, which by the way were kind of useless classes. But then like an actual like broadcast writing class. Like, I feel like a lot of the writing aspects of like journalism and broadcast journalism are covered in your major, and yeah, like these two were saying, budgeting your time is really important. And I think if you really want to be an English minor, go do that. But if you're like only doing it because you think it's going to give you more writing experience, take those credits and put them to something you want to focus on.
Yes.
This is like for anybody, but what's your favorite part about
Studying journalism in college. What's your favorite part?
I don't know. I obviously do a lot of weather stuff, but the news side is really cool too. I really like breaking news. Like, I like the fast pace kind of bang, bang, bang. Like, this is, I feel maybe it's like an adrenaline rush. I don't know, but like covering rapidly changing, hard-hitting, breaking news stories, I think is really cool.
You were there for the election.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So you were doing the election coverage.
Yep.
For OU Nightly, and
yeah,
that's just pretty wild.
It's just a rush. I mean, because it's like total chaos, right? Where you've got so many states to deal with, and you got so many numbers, and if he wins his state, she does. It's like
Watch
back and forth. Yep, and always a good time watching all that. But just the rush of fast-paced news.
What about you, Josh?
I'm a people person by nature, so meeting people has been fantastic. And being with my best friends, 3 of my 4 roommates are in the same major as me, and we all cover the football team. Cool. Willie, I'm going to say it, we're going to be in the college football playoff Friday against Notre Dame. So I don't know where Oklahoma is, but just meeting people has been my favorite thing because randomly on the street one day was the White Sox studio host. He was there visiting one of my professors who gave him his first job.
Cool.
And I was just walking around doing a live report, and he just happened to be there, so I got to meet him and exchanging information. Just talking to people.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part, because there's nothing better than having a close relationship with the people you work with.
Sure.
Because it makes your job fun.
Yeah.
If you hate the people you work with, you're gonna hate the job. And I'm blessed to have the best people to be around.
Yeah, kind of along the lines of what Josh said. The beauty of journalism is you go out and you get to meet a lot of really interesting people. Like I met like retired basketball players, the head coach of the basketball team, a lot of different football players, like guys who are in the NFL now, which is really cool. Cam Kinchins, the safety from Miami, who's the Rams now, one of the nicest human beings I've ever met.
Cool.
And he's killing it too. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah.
But like Josh was saying, the people you work with are so great. I love the collaborative aspect of it because you can't do any of this kind of stuff alone. When I was a pre-med student for those few weeks, a whole semester, in reality, I checked out of it a few weeks, but I was in it for a whole semester. But it's so individual. You know, all the work you do is very just like, you know, you're doing your problems and your chemistry, and it's like, with journalism, I get to work with some of my best friends every day, and there's not much better than that.
It's cool. I think we have time for maybe one more question. Yeah. Willie, not Quincy.
I'm calling you.
That would be the first time ever.
Well,
Quincy!
Yeah, it had to happen. Yes.
Brutal.
Okay, so you walked in at Cherry Wisdom, Willie. So, I guess my question would be, are there any skills that you wish you would have maybe mastered, or like any tips or any advice you would along the way that you wish you had known before your college career?
That's a good question. I think just like being open and willing to work with people is like very important, right? We've got like a big group of people, and especially in a college environment, very competitive. Like I'm sure like it gets competitive. So being able to, you know, communicate effectively, share common ideas, and like, I don't know, you're all working for the same common goal. So again, like being able to kind of work together, I think, is like huge. Just being open to ideas, I think is.
Oh, you Josh.
I think budgeting time. Honestly, I'm still not very good at it. Classwork and outside work, but budget your time, because you won't get any sleep if you don't budget it correctly. I'm lucky enough to get to my classes for the most part, then just get my work done. But if I didn't have a planner or a schedule or anything that kept me on track, I would lose track of time. I'd freak out, and it was some bad times when I was not prepared.
What about journalism wise?
How to ask questions. I learned, I didn't know at first, but I learned that 7 seconds for a question. That's all you have, because once you get past that 7 seconds, someone loses interest. You're gonna lose interest really quickly. So quick, concise, get to the point, and people, especially now, people know what happened. They have social media. Your job is to put it in a way that someone might not think of it. And I try to do that as much as I can, but when a game ends, everybody saw the score. If you're gonna read this article, you already saw what happened. You already saw the game, you already saw the score. I'm not gonna give you a play-by-play. I'm gonna give you something that didn't happen in the game, but what led to something happening.
Cool. Wrigley?
Something that I really wish I had learned before college is learning how to fail and learning how to be okay with imperfection. Because like when I was here, like all my writing was like essays and stuff, so I had like weeks and weeks to put it off, and then write the last night. But I was such a perfectionist, and in journalism you really can't do that, because as I'm sure Josh can contribute to, like you gotta just get stuff out there, and like the best paper is the one that's written. So just learning how to fail, because you learn more from failing than from succeeding.
Well, thank you. This first lunch, second lunch is coming in, so thank you, First Lunch, for coming out and hanging out. We'll be back in like 5 minutes. Awesome.
No. I wish.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
Behind Wrigley and Willie.
Here's a fuzz.
Thank you.
All right, lunch 2. Smaller group with Adam. So we have 3 students, 2 former students, 1 adopted son of Warren. But Wrigley, Kordt, Josh Pose, Willie, Gillespie. Talk about kind of like what their college journey's been like so far. Wrigley, maybe talk about what you're doing right now at Miami.
Yeah, so I'm a junior at Miami now. I'm a triple major in broadcast journalism, political science, and screenwriting. It's a lot. It's a lot of fun, too. And, yeah, it's great. Doing a lot.
Josh?
I'm Josh. I'm a junior at Indiana University. Studying sports media. I'm covering what I write for men's basketball and football, on TV for baseball, softball, and soccer.
Yeah.
Almost forgot about it. And yeah, I love every second of it. I get to be in the press box for every game, especially for a college football playoff game, right, Willie?
You know,
That's Quincy to you.
Oh, sorry, Quincy.
I don't understand, like, I'm just one
getting attacked.
Yeah, it's just me. Like, why is it just me?
You know, you make a bowl
What
game.
did I even do? I've just been sitting here, like,
6
you
and 6.
guys been...
Yeah, like they're bowl eligible.
All you have to do is go 2-6 in conference play.
Did you guys make a bowl
You
game?
have a cakewalk of a schedule, dude. Like, I mean...
SEC and their hypotheticals.
Anyway, Willie, tell us tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm a sophomore at the University of Oklahoma, and doing meteorology there, focused on the broadcast track of that. I'm also a photographer for our student newspaper, and I write for one of the newspapers, I do the weather for one of the local newspapers as well.
Nice. Local newspapers?
Yeah. It's
Really?
like
I didn't know that.
town, like, it's like this very small town, like 5 miles south of campus.
Really?
I do the weekly weather. It's actually, I think it was due at 10 a.m., so I'm a little late for the due date now, but we'll get there. Get it done.
If you're late, it's 90% off.
Well,
That's how I do it.
the population of the town's like 20 people,
Learn
so
deadlines.
yeah. We'll get-
All right, so going with that, talk about maybe your internship that you did this semester near school there.
Yeah. It was like an hour southwest of campus, and I was just like the on-air weekend meteorologist down there. Really cool opportunity, and kind of got to go through pretty much all the motions of kind of what your job is. So like, going into work, forecasting, doing radio hits, getting the show ready.
Radio hits too.
Radio hits, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
That's cool.
yeah, and kind of just, you do the job.
How did you get that opportunity?
It's actually funny. One of the people I worked with, who she did it a couple years ago, and I was friends with her freshman year, and she kind of offered me the opportunity to kind of pass it along. She works in Colorado Springs now. She's a meteorologist out there.
Oh wow.
So yeah, kind of cool opportunity. And
Did she work with the Air Force at all?
No.
That's Colorado Springs. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But she works for the NBC affiliate out there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. Josh, how did you get into how did you get to where you're at now? Like, talk about maybe your journey from freshman year to junior year.
A lot of hard work and a lot of buying some time.
Yeah.
And just showing up has been my biggest thing. Every day, no matter what. Honestly, it's better when I didn't have to go on camera, so I didn't have to dress up. I just went in shorts and a t-shirt and some slides.
Yeah.
But I just show up, not even do things, meet people, talk to people. Met my best friends not in class. I met them just through people at an event for sports media. I'm living with them now. They're going to be my best friends for my entire life.
Nice.
And we do everything together, including covering games.
Cool.
All we do is talk sports.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about last lunch period that someone took a chance on you and gave you soccer.
Yeah.
Female, girls, or
Men's.
men's soccer. Someone took a chance on you. You got men's soccer. How did you get that chance?
So it's all about being a people person.
Yeah.
This guy, he's from Batavia. He's a White Sox fan like me. He's a Bears fan like me. He's a Blackhawks fan like me.
Okay.
We had a bunch in common. He was a junior at the time. Yeah, junior at the time. And I went out there and I made friends with him and didn't really talk to him. I said I want to do men's soccer in the application, and by luck I got it. And talking to him and then the other director, they're like, we thought potentially there was a chance, and I did my best to not let them down. I won an award for the most spirit for my beat.
Wow.
Last year. I showed up every day. I was excited, and I'm just so thankful for allowing an opportunity, because I've never done anything TV before.
Yeah.
I'd never done anything on camera, really, other than play-by-play.
Sure.
So I don't know how, but I'm really lucky, and I'm going to stay on men's soccer through next year.
Cool. Wrigley, how about your journey?
So mine's a little weird because I actually started as a pre-med student, and that lasted all of a few weeks, and I didn't like it. And I really lucked out because when I toured Miami, my cousin who went there gave me a tour. She was actually the mascot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The duck.
the ibis.
Or whatever.
We're not Oregon.
Sebastian.
Sebastian the ibis. She was Sebastian. She was actually the first girl to ever be Sebastian.
Really?
Yeah, which is really cool.
Interesting.
But because of that, she was actually friends with the then EP of the sports show, who I got to meet, and then through that connection, I actually got to like go on the broadcasting track, and then just sort of along the way picked up 2 other majors, and here we are.
Yeah. So you made it through the mascot.
Pretty much, yeah.
And talk about some of the stuff that you're doing now. Like, do you do like a comedy show? Like, talk about maybe that comedy show and what you're doing on that show.
Yeah, so Off the Wire, it's our 30-minute, every other week live tape comedy show. And live tape basically means we actually have a live studio audience, but it's not broadcast live. We go back, we edit it. Sort of like, that's what The Tonight Show does. That's what a lot of pretty much every show that's not like SNL does that. And so I'm actually the executive producer of that now. I was the head writer at one point. Every UMTV show is supposed to have 2 EPs. We only have 1, and it's me. So that's a lot of not sleeping for me. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great opportunity. We get to do a lot of pre-recorded segments, a lot of live segments. It's what I love about Off the Wire specifically compared to the other 8 7 shows we have on UMTV is a lot of it's unscripted, and a lot of it is we're able to change it every week. So a lot of these shows, and that's not a bad thing, have like a very rigid formula. You know,
Sure.
It's like desk, segment, commercial, segment, desk, segment, desk. The beauty of Off the Wire is that and why I love producing it so much is that it's very free flowing. If I want to, and our faculty advisor is also really open to let's try some stuff.
Yeah.
Let's we made more segments live this semester. We did themes for episodes, which we've never done before. Like we did. So actually, the first time we did that was because we usually have music guests on the show, and last minute, it was our 3rd show this semester. The music guest bailed.
Wow.
Like Wednesday night, the show being Thursday
Just
night.
like local bands.
Yeah, so Miami has like a really good music program too. So a lot of the bands come on.
Sure.
We actually partnered with one of the music programs, and they ended up bailing on us, which was really fun. They would always be like, "Oh, hey, by the way, it's the night before. We didn't get you anyone." So luckily I have some friends who were in bands, but for that show specifically, I was like, "What do we do? What do we do?" Because we were all like at my friend's house meeting to like write the rest of the show. So we turned it into Off the Wire Needs Money. That was the theme. So we did like a fake like telethon,
Oh, funny.
that was really fun. And then we did a whole Halloween episode where our host wasn't gonna be there because so everyone goes down to Key West for Halloween, and Halloween was on a Thursday this year. So everyone kind of thought like, oh yeah, the Key West trip would be the weekend after that. But the big Key West weekend was the weekend before. But the problem is our host booked a year in advance, and he booked the wrong weekend. He booked the weekend after. So he was just out of town for the show. So we did a murder mystery.
Oh,
we
funny.
we filmed something before he left where he got murdered. Not like brutally or anything.
Right.
Not too much gore on Off the Wire.
Yeah.
But so the whole episode was a murder mystery. And then this last one we did, ironically, we did Off the Wire tries to win an award, where we did a lot of like fake like award baity things, and then we had a lot of like misinterpretations of what an award is. So we had like our host trying to break world records,
Okay.
stuff like that. And the ironic part of that is we're actually submitting it for awards now.
Oh, funny.
But So yeah, just being able to have that flexibility as a producer is like a lot of fun, and it's something that I don't
Formats
think.
can kind of change whenever you
Exactly.
want them. How long does it take to? You said every other week.
Mm-hmm.
How long does it take to write the show and produce the show for that week?
40 hours?
40 hours.
Probably, yeah. So we
And
don't.
it's a half-hour show.
Yeah, so we work on a 2-week production schedule. And so in the first week, we have Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have writers' meetings. Those are about an hour each, like a writer's room, sort of like people bring scripts, we workshop them.
Yeah.
Thursday, we determine which sketches we're going to actually produce. We cast them. Half the people we cast end up not showing up. So then it's a matter of, scrambling to get people together. Each sketch takes 2 hours to film. And these are like 3 to 5 minute sketches. But like filming takes a long time when it's not just live shows.
Sure.
Because we're perfectionists, or at least
right.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit too much of a perfectionist when it comes to the sketches.
Yeah.
But filming and then editing takes several hours, followed by writing all the in-studio bits.
Sure.
A big part of that is that there's supposed to be more people writing, and then they don't.
Yeah.
And then I end up writing. So it's a lot of stuff on
You're
my
filling a
plate.
lot of gaps.
I'm filling a lot of gaps right now. We're starting to get more people.
Sure.
But the thing without the wire, it's a big time commitment if you're like really involved in it. But the thing about it is that you can kind of just like float in and out. You can be in like one sketch, you can write one sketch. We don't have a lot of casted roles. So that's fun in terms of getting new people. Not fun when those people start to die off in like November and suddenly it's just like me and 5 other people creating a whole out. Like the last one we did was an hour long.
Oh wow.
So for that one, double everything.
Right.
Double the writing, double the sketches,
Yeah. Double the fun.
double the fun. But that was a lot of work. So just learning how to like balance that with, I think a thing that I really had to learn this semester was that like this is like a full-time job.
Right.
And I also have to be a student.
Right.
And
And
sometimes
you're not getting paid to do this, are you?
no, this is completely just
For your resume.
just me being a masochist.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, Josh, you talked about last lunch period about talking to the running back from the Indiana football team. Kind of walk through like that interview process, how it started, how you got it, and then maybe the prep, and then the interview itself.
Yeah, so when I was, I think I was at a basketball game, the main socials guy for it's called Hoosiers Connect, it's the NIL collective that Indiana runs since NIL is so big now.
Yeah.
He said, hey, do you want to do a football one-on-one sit-down interview with Justice Ellison, the running back? And I was like, sure. I didn't really know what I was going to be doing. I'd never done a sit-down one-on-one, just sitting me and you across from each other.
Sure.
It was a 2-camera setup. He told me everything, but the craziest thing was I do all this prep, like I said, but
How many hours of that prep was it?
about 2.
2 hours. Yeah.
But the questions had to be cleared by the athletic department.
Oh, interesting.
So I had to send in my questions. They had to get edited. I had to resubmit. It was a full process because with the new football coach, he likes to keep everything one message.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same message. You only send out a certain amount of guys so you don't have anybody going off script.
Sure.
So at that time, there was talks of college football playoff,
Sure.
but no one wanted to say anything. It was kind of taboo to say something if you're in the building.
Absolutely.
So going further, going beyond, he's had the most rushing yards he's had in his 6 years in college. So he's having a career season.
Sure.
But going deeper, going into the running back room, his relationship with those guys, going into his recruitment, not only to Indiana, but to Wake Forest, where he came from, and his journey through high school.
transferred from-
Yes. The Indiana had maybe 5 returning starters. The rest are transfers.
Okay.
So he was just one of, and he took one visit to Indiana, and then we talked about I remember being in a press conference with him, and he said, the O-line, I love them. It was like the Red Sea had parted.
Yeah.
And I was in that John like, whoa. So that's just end quote. That's my
cool.
favorite. That's my favorite quote. So I read that back to him and I said, what does that offensive line mean to you? And going more in depth on just, hey, you saw a hole, you ran for 55 yards on this play. That was cool.
Yeah.
And learning more about him, the person, got me it made me better at what I do and made me actually closer with him every time he sees me.
Nice.
He always laughs and smiles and says hello.
Nice. And Willie, you also do some photography work. Maybe talk about the sports you've kind of photogged and all that stuff.
Yeah. I did a couple games last year, mainly softball. So covered a couple home games, Big 12, and now had the opportunity to cover some SEC games this year, which has been pretty cool. I've done some men's basketball, women's basketball. I did some soccer, women's soccer, and it's awesome. I just love it. It's like, I mean, it's just a great way to like tell a story. I don't know. I'm not a huge writer. Like these guys are more writers. Like obviously, I write the newspaper. Sorry, I'll get you the article. It's just we'll get it done. We'll get it done. But I think telling a story visually is something that I've been trying to like work on, and I think you got a great opportunity to do that with photography.
Redbird Arena.
Yeah, that's where it all started. Yeah, this was my first game I ever.
Actually, no, it was the semifinal, right?
Yeah, we did the semis and then.
You went to the finals, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 days. We drove down, drove up. We had to drive back down again.
You went down. I didn't go to the final.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah.
That was fun. I remember that.
That was fun. Yeah, that was a good time.
Josh does not remember that. Josh was not there.
I watched. I'll say that. I watched.
Yeah. That was a good time. But so how did you get upon? How do you happen upon that opportunity?
I don't know. It's kind of funny. I'm in this like service organization, and I connected with this one guy who was the chief photo editor with them, and he kind of was like, "Hey, you should do this." Yeah. He was like, "Yeah, you should do this." I'm like, "Eh." I was like, "Yeah, sure, try it." I wasn't very like open to like trying new things first semester, but in college, like I feel like that's a big thing is being open to trying new things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of started working my way in there and doing small stuff, but the biggest thing was like getting feedback, right, from like people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like the director and photo editors, like they have a lot more experience than I do, and I've like improved significantly just over the past 5 or 6 months working with them. So it's been huge.
Yeah, let's talk about the feedback thing. So like Josh, maybe talk about who's giving you feedback. What does it look like? What does it sound like? Are they putting periods at the end of their text where it seems like they're mad at you? I mean, what does it look like?
Well, ours is all about demo reels, and that just reminds me I have to do mine. I'm almost done with it. So we mass send out demo reels to anybody that will listen and watch. So I'll send it out to people from back in Chicago because I'm looking for an internship with NBC Chicago. The new Chicago Sports Net I'm looking, so I'm sending it to people there. But sending it to each other is our most valuable because people actually listen and watch and care because they know you.
Yeah.
Going out into the industry is like great and asking for people to, but they're not going to actually watch it and care. Yeah. They have bigger fish to fry. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. It's just that's how it is.
That's just the nature of the game.
Yeah, they have a job to do and they don't really have time for my 5-minute reel.
Sure.
And to give true impact on and feedback on the reel. So just going and shaking hands with not big name people. I mean, we had Bob Costas talk to us one day. Mm-hmm. Bob Costas is never going to listen to my reel. Bob Costas isn't going to listen to the up and coming person's reel. That's just how it is. So going within like people who cover Indiana with like Indianapolis people.
Sure.
They'll take the time.
Yeah.
So you try to get like a top 75 market person to gauge where you're at because out of college I mean, we're close. We're getting there. We're going to have to be looking for jobs and making those connections with people and getting feedback from them to improve, to get to where they're at and move into those top markets.
What does feedback look like for you, Willie?
So a lot of it comes actually from my professors, and I'm really lucky because Miami has so many of these like faculty members who have really like been in the industry for years. Like one of the
Retiring in Miami.
Exactly. No, it's not a bad place to retire to. So one of my professors who I'm going to work a lot with next semester was like a producer at CNN for like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then my TV performance professor this semester, Antonio Mora, he was on like the Today Show, CNN.
Oh, wow.
He's covered like everything.
Nice.
So having people like that who have been there and done that and who were at one point like at the top of it all, being able to like look at your demo reel and your writing, that's really invaluable feedback.
Sure, yeah. That's awesome. Did any of you have any questions before lunch gets out here? No? All right, well, I think that's the end of second lunch, so we'll be back in 5 minutes. What do you think? All right.
move the goalposts at Boomer Sooner.
You know, it's just you were talking about your NIL collective, and I'm sure it's probably like
It's
hard
a
for
0.1%.
What's your
of the
what's your NIL
size.
then
I don't know.
for football?
Billions and billions of dollars. Nobody
Ohio
knows,
State is
probably.
at 45 million.
Everything's bigger down south, so it's probably at least a couple.
Ohio State is the top one, dude.
as far as we know.
Indiana's is 23
like,
million.
Come on, someone's
Indiana's
on the
ahead
table.
of Penn State in NIL money.
Good.
All right, we ready?
Take that, Penn State.
Final lunch.
Round 3.
All right, round 3. So, I guess more repetition for you guys. All right, so we are here, lunch 3, for we're doing a little broadcast, journalism, film, TV show, journalism, print journalism, I guess, too, right?
Doesn't get printed anymore, but
Doesn't
yeah.
get printed, yeah. But with Wrigley, Kordt, Josh Pose, and Willie Gillespie. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves and kind of talk about where they're at, what they're doing right now. Wrigley, go ahead.
Yeah, so I know the drill by now. I'm first. So I'm Wrigley. I'm a junior at the University of Miami. I'm majoring in broadcast journalism, political science, and screenwriting. I anchor our sports broadcast. I executive produce our late night comedy show, and I don't sleep.
Oh, I'm Josh. I'm a junior at Indiana University. I study sports media. I cover any sport you can think of. I have a blast doing it. I also don't sleep.
I'm Willie Gillespie. I'm a broadcast meteorology major at the University of Oklahoma. Yeah, I really didn't sleep much either, honestly. Yeah.
Maybe walk through your semester, kind of some things, some highlights from this semester that you got to do. Maybe not with just meteorology, but with other, like the election and stuff.
Yeah. I've been kind of like branching out and covering more news stuff. So yeah, we got to do some on-air election coverage, which was really cool. Like very fast-paced environment. Obviously, election night is just very hectic. Like there's a lot going on. That was really awesome. And then we had, I think, another really cool thing. And I'm sure Josh has done this a couple times now too this year. We had College Game Day come to campus, and that's like very awesome being able to see a lot of the guys you see on TV and just like experience that, but also document it, like be a part of it almost, where you're telling the story again, kind of being able to express like what's going on to people. It's kind of a cool way to like, you're like the puzzle piece, you're like fitting into this kind of big event that's happening on campus.
Cool. Josh, how about you? Some highlights from this year?
Well, I'll just go off. Third time this weekend, this Friday, college football playoff game day will be covering Indiana. Yeah. I branched out. I came in to college and I said, I'm going to be play-by-play. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah.
Well, my own brain stopped me. I was like, oh, you know what? TV's fun. Writing's fun. So I have actually stepped out of the play-by-play world. I love play-by-play.
Yeah.
But it's such a tough business to get into.
Sure.
And when there's 15 people ahead of you already, and you're a junior,
Yep.
you have to find a way and maneuver your way into a new position, and that's what I've done. I wish I went into the politics. They asked me to go on the politics on the election night coverage because they thought since I talk about it, I'm going to be really good at that. I turned it down because I don't like doing that. I like doing it, but they were like, "Oh, could you just be behind the scenes?" And I was like, "No, I'd rather just sit in my own bed and watch MAC football on a Tuesday night." But I like branching out. I do wish I could do weather like Willie. I've been watching him since his freshman year of high school, but I had those opportunities, but I'm just so busy with football, soccer, men's, women's basketball. Baseball starts less than 2 months now.
Wow. Wrigley, how about some highlights from your year, semester so far?
So this semester wasn't really much of a broadcast semester for me because of I became a broadcast major pretty early, but I didn't add the poli-sci till my first semester sophomore year, and then second semester sophomore year is when I added the screenwriting. So I kind of had to play catch up with those two. So it was a lot of screenwriting and a lot of poli-sci classes. And one of those majors was really fun. the poli-sci class I actually took this semester was actually like an election class, which was really cool because we got a lot of like guest speakers who like were like part of the election. Like we got like campaign managers. We got like Rick Scott was in there at one point.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But one of the highlights was EPing off the wire. Obviously, that was a lot of fun. We got to try out a lot of. So the thing is, we had 3 people for for my first 2 years who were basically running the show, either as the EP or the host, or they kind of all like rotated roles. And they were kind of like the brain trust of the show. And they were really talented and everything, but it meant that like everything was kind of their vision. And they finally graduated. So it was kind of the first semester where like me and my friends, we got to really enact our own vision for the show. And we tried out a lot of new things. Like as a producer, it was really fun to sort of like change what the show is while still following sort of a format. Getting to try out new things, getting to put together like an hour-long show, getting to put theme shows together. That was a lot of fun. That was definitely a highlight for me.
What about your journey freshman year to junior year? How did you start out, and then how you've gotten to where you're at now?
Well, it's been a journey, that's for sure. So I actually came into Miami as a pre-med student. I was a biochem major. I was going to go to med school. I was going to be an anesthesiologist. That lasted like 3 weeks. That had been my plan since like 8th grade. And I got into like 3 weeks of being a college pre-med student, and I realized it wasn't for me. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's a really good encapsulation of the college experience, which is that you don't really know what you're doing, and that's kind of the fun of it.
And yet we pressure you to figure out what you want to do before you leave this place.
Yeah,
or for your case, Warren, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, big takeaway I kind of have. I'll get to you in a sec, don't worry. Big takeaway I kind of have from college as a whole is just like, it really feels sort of like a destination when you're in high school. It's sort of everything's building to, you're going to know your major, you're going to know what school you're going to, this is it, you're on your career path. It's not like that at all. It's very free-flowy, very much just like sort of figuring out what you want to do with your life. And I think that was a big change for me, and that was a really good learning experience. But so going from a pre-med major to broadcast, adding on poli-sci, adding on screenwriting, it's been a weird sort of road, but I'm really happy with it because I'm just doing 3 things that I love.
And you're anchoring the sports desk.
Yeah, so I'm anchoring sports. That's our 30-minute like sports broadcast, think like Sports Center, but cooler because I'm on it. So we do highlights, we have like live football segment, basketball or baseball, depending on what's in season, that sort of stuff. And that's a lot of fun because it's very similar to professional environment. We actually have equipment that's like better than a lot of like the local channels. Which
probably
is
not better than CDN.
Oh, no, of course not.
What's our first name?
Josh, maybe talk through, you had an interview, you've talked about this a couple times, but you interviewed the running back for the football team. Maybe walk through that process of like setting up for the interview, or getting the interview, setting up for it, and then knocking it out.
Getting the interview just is because I made friends with an alumni who runs the social media for the NIL collective in Indiana, which makes $25 million for football, by the way, Willie. Did you know that?
It's probably not as much as
All
Oklahoma,
right.
just for the
Probably
record.
a third of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oh,
And where's that money going for Oklahoma?
yeah, five more wins for less money.
We're here to talk about broadcast journalism, Josh, so why don't we focus on that?
I'm not going to, so quit asking. So just being able to, he said, hey, do you want to do this? I said, of course. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, because it was for people, the people who were watching it actually are donors.
Okay.
So the wealthiest people that donate to Indiana watch that video.
Sure.
But doing two hours of prep, finding out more about him to be able to ask good questions was what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be like, hey, you ran for this many yards.
Yeah.
That's cool. You're having a career year, but let's go deeper into that.
Yep.
Having the proper equipment, I think both of these guys can attest. Our schools have insane, studios that we get to work in.
Yeah.
And working in those studios not only makes us better as reading a teleprompter or being on camera, but it also prepares us for the real world and what is to come. And doing that interview in such a great spot like that with proper lighting, proper mics, everything like that, it was a hit. Everybody, I sent it to everybody because you had to have a link.
Yeah.
So if I just sent the link, then everyone was able to see it.
Yeah.
So we got great feedback from it, and everybody learned more about the person, not the player.
How much time do you think you spent researching him and his life before you sat down with that interview?
Yeah, about 2 hours is what I tried. Did I do it the night before? Maybe. I still sent it. Yeah, it was fresh, and I still had to send it to them, to the athletic department, just so they could see what the questions were. I'm not going to be like, hey, your girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, I'm not going to go that deep into his personal life or anything like that. But I worked my butt off to just try to get the right questions, because I only had 15 minutes. And I prepared 25 questions just in case, but he's a chatty guy. So I prepared 25 questions, and I had a note card. I wrote them all down. It was like my little cheat sheet, and I had them in my hand just in case I needed them. But it was just conversational. So the questions, I'd move topics, but the questions were just fluid.
You're just kind of riffing on what he's saying. Yeah. Willie, maybe talk about your internship this semester that you had.
Yeah. So I was working down at the ABC 7 station, about an hour southwest of campus. Pretty cool opportunity. They'll like pay for your gas, pay for your hotel, and you go and be the on-air weekend meteorologist. And it's cool because you're going through the motions of the job, right? Like this is what you want to do, and you just do it. I mean, it's like you work an 8-hour shift, and that's what you do, and 8
hours.
Yeah. And getting up, it's like watching these guys here in Chicago. Like those morning meteorologists get up at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and that's how it was. And you go in and forecast, do the radio hits, and make the graphics. You're using the same software you'll see industry wide. It's awesome.
That's
really
cool.
Great experience.
What about internships do you think you're going to try to go for this summer maybe?
So I'm applying. I'm not really sure what I want to do in my life still. So I'm kind of
Same.
like I said earlier, that's perfectly fine to do. And so I'm kind of applying to a lot of like really different internships. Like I'm applying to a lot of different like sports shows. ESPN is an internship, The Athletic, and then like a lot of like NBC Sports, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, all that. Then I'm also applying to like a lot of different like screenwriting sort of internships. So there's not a lot of like screenwriting internships because like nobody's like, hey, let's get this random college student to come write our show. But just getting experience.
Take our jobs later.
Exactly. So like just doing grunt work for I'm applying to the Tonight Show, really all the late night shows, the Daily Show, all that kind of stuff, just to sort of get a foot in the door there.
How about you, Josh?
So I did an internship with the Collegiate Summer League baseball team. I know that's a lot to say. I was in North Carolina. I was 15 hours away from home. I loved it. I hated being far away from home, so I'll never do it again. Everybody was perfect there. Don't get me wrong. I lived on the beach. That was cool. But that was a play-by-play gig for baseball. I love baseball play-by-play. I did other things. I did reporting, and I did some PR stuff for the team over the summer. This summer I'm gonna try to stay local. Try to go NBC Chicago. I have a connection that actually spoke in our class. He's a sports anchor. I think he's the weekend guy now, Mike Berman.
Oh yeah.
Gonna try to work with him and try to get myself an internship. If not, it's not Comcast Sports anymore. Yeah. Chicago Sports Network or whatever that I can't watch on my TV right now.
Yeah. Over the airwaves.
Yeah, I got to get my antenna. It's in Indianapolis now. I'm gonna try to get like a TV internship and be behind the scenes there to see what that's all about, and it'll probably confirm that I want to go into the TV industry. Potentially, I actually just took a sportscasting class, and I was talking with my professor who's in the industry for about 15 years, and she said, you're going to be someone that does panel. You have the personality for it. Cool. So my goal right now, and obviously you have no idea what you want to do, like it's probably be like a pre and post game host and stuff like that. But
I guess Big Ten's in town too.
Oh yeah,
Rosemont,
yeah, Big Ten. They're a little bit tougher to get internships. It's really weird that it's kind of secluded, and you have to like really dig deep to find their internships. And I can take a summer off from the Big Ten. I can tell you that. The best conference. Sorry,
It is
the best conference.
It'll be Big 20 at some point.
We're getting there.
All right, so how about we go with questions? I think we've got one person who has a lot of questions, so we'll go with Brian Phoenix first for some questions.
Just like for Wrigley, you mentioned that like you like every year you want like since you're doing it to be pre-med, you were there for 3 weeks and like was that very hard to like come to terms with of like the fact that you had kind of built up everything to pre-med and then it's like, well, I'm not, no, is that completely switch entirely? Like, was that a big, like, was that hard to like transition?
I think the hardest part was telling my parents. Because I had to be like, hey, you know how I was going to be a doctor, make like $500K a year? Well, okay, let's divide that by 20. But they were really supportive about it. I kind of had an inkling that my heart wasn't in it for a while, but it didn't really like manifest itself until I actually got into it. I kind of figured, oh, once I get there, I'll be fine, I'll like it. It wasn't for me. I had friends who, you know, like one of my roommates is pre-med. He actually just got into Miami's medical school. Really happy for the guy. He's so passionate about it. I mean, he hates like OChem and stuff, but like at the end of the day, he loves doing that kind of stuff. And I just never had that passion for that. I realized I have that passion somewhere else. So once I realized that, it was actually a really easy transition for me.
Tell them how you got into broadcasting thing.
Oh yeah,
I think it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah, it's funny. So when I toured the school, I actually wasn't even thinking about going to Miami, but I was in Florida for spring break because I have family down there, my junior year of high school. And my cousin, she was the mascot. First girl to be Sebastian the Ivas in like the 100-year history of the school. And so I was on the other coast of Florida. She basically dragged me over to Miami. It was like, you're touring this school. And I kind of fell in love with it. It wasn't like Vanderbilt was my top school because I was a pre-med kid. But when I was actually at Miami, like I fell in love with it, and I actually got to meet her. She was friends with the guy who at the time was the executive producer of Sports Desk, the sports show I work on. So I got to meet him. He tried to like convince me to go into broadcasting. So I actually auditioned for Sports Desk still as a pre-med kid. Got a gig there, and it just kind of took off from there.
Cool. Any other questions? Yes, Margaret.
You guys are all like broadcasting majors. How evenly is like the distribution between people who are broadcasting majors or minors and people who are majoring in something completely different within your guys' programs?
I'd say it's mostly broadcast people. We have like a few who are like media management, which is like broadcast people who don't want to take the one hard broadcast class. But I mean, we have like a few people who are like marine science majors. Like actually the girl who executive produces our news show, News Vision, she has nothing to do with broadcast major-wise, but she's been involved with it all 4 years. So it's definitely something you can get involved in, even if you don't want that to be your full-time thing. I mean, I got involved as a pre-med kid, like I was saying. There's definitely opportunities there. The issue being, you have a lot of other stuff to do. If you're like a marine science major, where you have like all these labs and exams and stuff, and then you're also like, oh yeah, let me just like go run a show real quick. I don't know how she does it. I could barely do it as a broadcast major.
That's actually a really good question, because there's some people that I worked with. Indiana has a great business school, and they're great people that do their coloring books and stuff like that. That's why we try to say that they don't do anything. But there's this one guy who worked with us, and he was awesome. And it's not, he didn't want to do it for a career. It was just a passion he had. And working with him was getting another perspective. He was a sports fanatic. We're all sports fanatics, but we're going into it as a job. It was nice to mesh our thoughts with him, and he'd give us the business end of things, and it would be really fun. But working with people that are outside the industry is just as fun as within, because they're going into it like I go into a business class. Free-minded, I'm not great at this, but I'm going to have fun with it, and it's a blast.
Do you have any analytics kids in your program? Sports analytics?
Yeah. So yes and no. They're more on the EP side.
Okay.
They direct games. There's this kid, his name is Henry Thuss. You're gonna know the name at some point. He's gonna be a top director somewhere.
Yeah.
He is a baseball statistical nerd. and analytical. So when he directs any sporting event, even if it's not baseball, he will bring the analytics in and put them in graphics. We have a great graphics team, and we all work together. These people aren't on-air talent. They never wanted to be on-air talent, but they're just as close with us as if they were. And that's what makes our broadcast so much better than most in the Big Ten at Indiana.
Awesome. Willie, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh said a lot of great things there, talking about how, you're working closely together with people who don't even want to be on the air. But like what you were saying about, maybe having a different major, that's applicable on the weather side too. We have a lot of meteorology majors, but there are some. We had one graduate last year. She was an environmental sustainability major, and she's now on-air meteorologist out in Colorado Springs. And we had another one who's working at the Weather Service in, I don't know, some island somewhere, Hawaii or something. But it's like, obviously you probably want to be attributed with that specific major, but if you're not, I feel like it's not the end of the world. I mean, you guys are saying, like, as long as it's like a related field, I think that'll get you pretty far.
Yeah, Ryan.
You have the judgment.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. What are you talking about?
Wrigley, can you talk more about your screenwriting? Like how, that's like one of your majors, right?
Yes.
What do you like do for that? Like,
Right, mostly.
That's big, but like, do you make shows? Do you like make short films? Do you like what do you do with what are your thoughts?
So Miami has a motion pictures major, and under that umbrella, there's like a bunch of different categories you can go to. There's like a general one, there's like a business side one, there's like a production one, and then there's, for the longest time, it was just screenwriting. So it was mostly like feature writing, films, all that kind of stuff. But they recently added a TV writing track. That's the track I'm actually on. So I write a lot of like spec scripts and stuff. Like I just one of my finals was Always Sunny in Philadelphia spec script. So for those who don't know, a spec script is basically just like you write an episode of a show, like an existing show, and that's what when you're applying to screenwriting jobs, that's what you present them with as your work, because people want to know that you're funny. Most importantly, they want to know that you can like understand the voice of a show. So a lot of my classes are just learning, like basic levels, like learning the formatting and stuff, and then learning how to come up with stories. But the more advanced levels, it's like I'm taking a class next semester where I'm writing a pilot. So that's gonna be really fun. Just being able to flex those creative muscles is awesome.
Cool. Josh, talk about your writing. How much you're writing? Every night, I guess.
It's a lot. I think I've guesstimating the 150 articles written this semester. Anywhere from a game preview to a game story to how it happened, which what we do is we give a brief intro, we give 3 things of what happened during the game, then we give the final stats, and it's right at the buzzer or right at the final whistle. We have it out so people can read it. That's the first thing they read, and that's the game story that we do. But we do feature stories. I've done a lot of game previews. I've done a lot of gamer stories, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I think we talked about in the first one, it's not always going to be your best work. I think Friday really tested me. Indiana, I wasn't covering the team in person, and that's always tough. And I was trying to get to that 600 words. I always try to get to 600 words on every article, at least. I couldn't find it. It was getting close to midnight, and I put words on a page, and like I think you said, the best paper is when you put words on a page. And
best paper's done.
Yeah, when it's done.
The best paper is the one that's done.
Yeah, and that's what I did, and I have a Grammarly subscription, and I use it till no end. I use it every single article I'll write because I want it to be as good, as well done as possible, even though my content was horrible.
Yeah. How do you think AI is going to change it?
Let's just say
Screenwriting too.
Well, yeah, that too. I've gotten some headlines from AI, and AI tells you a story. It can give you a headline or give you a tweet, but it can't tell you what you saw.
Yeah, right.
What I see at a game is much different than what AI is going to tell me what happened at the game. I can find and create my own story. I always like to say, write your own story.
Yeah.
Do something different than what someone else that's sitting in that press box alone. And AI cannot tell you. They can tell you the stats. They can give you all that, but they cannot personalize a story like a human can.
Yeah.
So headlines and tweets, it's all right for me, and editing my tweets or editing everything. But other than that, I steer clear.
Yeah. I think the big thing with AI is that, like, it's a tool at the end of the day. Like, it's something that you can use to help come up with ideas, to help workshop things, to come up with headlines, like you were saying. But at the end of the day, it can't relate to the human experience the way we can. So in creative fields like journalism, like screenwriting, like, at the end of the day, I don't think it can fully replace the human element of it, because that's where the creativity comes from. Because the best stories are the ones that we relate to. And at the end of the day, an algorithm isn't going to be able to relate to my life the way I can.
Any final questions? All right. Well, thank you all for showing up and talking to everybody throughout this whole 3-lunch tour. But yeah, I guess that's it for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan, lock in.